Hello and welcome to today's walkthrough of Lob QR codes. So Lob QR codes are a great way to increase engagement and conversion rates on your mail and really help you attribute and measure the success of your direct mail campaigns and start to tie in your direct mail campaigns with your digital channels and most importantly, track it all in Lob. So Lob QR codes enable you to generate a unique QR code for every single mail piece you send. What that means is that you can direct people to different landing pages at an individual mail piece level, or you can pass in unique UTM parameters at an individual mail piece level, enabling your web analytics to recognize people as they land on your page. And B, you can get one-to-one tracking when people scan those QR codes, meaning that similar to, for example, an email click-through, if I send a postcard to 100 recipients with a QR code attached to it, I'll actually be able to track which specific recipients scan that QR code, which I can use to track them as more engaged users. I can use that to trigger subsequent mailing events like a follow-up email, for example. But it gives you a level of one-to-one tracking that was previously unavailable with direct mail QR codes. So, how do they work? The easiest way to implement Lob QR codes is going to be in our campaign's user interface. So if you've set up a campaign in Lob before, you've configured your campaign, added your audience, and on the step where we choose our creative, we're going to have the option to add a QR code here. So I'll go ahead and click Add QR Code. Here I'll create a QR code URL. So this can be my landing page. And then I'm able to customize that QR code a bit. So let's go ahead and give this a brand color that more closely represents this brand. And I can upload a brand logo if I like. And then I'll click to generate that QR code. I can now take that QR code, place it anywhere I'd like in my mailer. I can resize it and position it. I've now generated a QR code that, in this case, will always take you through to lob.com. So even though this takes everyone through to the same landing page, Lob is still going to generate a unique QR code for each mail piece, meaning that on Lob's side, we will still be tracking which specific mail piece is getting scanned. Now, if you want to drive people through to unique landing pages, you can pass in merge variables in the same way that you can in your dynamic creative. So if I go to update the QR code URL, and maybe I want to add in a unique parameter from my audience list, I can add in a merge tag, and that will allow me to select a column in my audience CSV to pass back those specific values. And then I'll do a default value here, which will just say generic. So now, if I scan this QR code, which I'll do by generating a proof here, I'll be able to see it's taking me through to a unique landing page. So I'm going to go ahead and scan this QR code. This will take me through a Lob redirect URL. So this is how we're tracking on the Lob side. And then you can see it's taking me through to lob.com and it's passing in first name equals Larry. And if I go back to my Lob dashboard here, I can see that this is an example postcard being sent to Larry Lobster. So you can see that that's a URL that is unique to Larry. So that's how Lob QR codes work in the campaigns UI. If you are sending via our API, I'll quickly show you what it looks like as an API parameter. You'll pass in a QR code, you'll pass in the values for the positioning and the redirect URL. So again, this can be unique at an individual mail piece level since you're generating an API call for each mail piece that you're sending. And you'll get to see the same value out of that in Lob after the fact in our analytics. So let's jump into those analytics. First and foremost, we have an analytics dashboard, which you can see in the engagement section, has a QR code engagement overall report. So I can filter this, of course, using any metadata fields, but this will give me the number of mail pieces for a certain subset of mail sent with QR codes and the corresponding QR code scans associated with that. But you don't actually have to come into Lob to pull this information. Lob can also pass QR code scans as a webhook. So if you want to listen for QR code scans, when the event occurs, Lob can actually pass a message to an endpoint that you set up that will pass you a message that says, for example, a postcard viewed or a letter viewed. This is when a QR code gets scanned. And that payload is going to tell you which specific mail piece was scanned. So as you start to think about integrating direct mail into a broader multi-channel sort of flow, you might listen for a QR code scan and have that trigger a message to a salesperson to show that somebody is engaged, or trigger an automated email to follow up. Even just pass these scans into a dashboard or database on your side that you can use to track engagement. So in summary, with Lob, you can generate a unique QR code for every mail piece. It gives you the option to drive people through to specific landing pages that are most relevant for them, or just provide you with one-to-one tracking to understand exactly who is scanning their QR codes. And ultimately, pull that data into your own system as part of a multi-step customer journey or as a touch point in your customer attribution journey. Hopefully this was useful. If you're interested in using Lob QR codes, feel free to reach out to your Lob contact for more information. Thank you.